What if this tiny purple monkey was not made for the dead, but for someone who was still alive? Only 3.5 centimeters tall, this small amethyst figure shows a female monkey holding her baby close to her chest. But behind this simple image is a much deeper question. Why would an ancient Egyptian create such a delicate object, and how was it actually used? Created during Egypt's Middle Kingdom, around 1981 to 1802 BC, this miniature carving belongs to a period when amethyst was frequently used for small animal representations. It is carved from a single piece of purple stone, transforming a familiar scene from nature into a precious personal object. At first glance, the image seems easy to understand. A mother protecting her young is a universal symbol. Across cultures, the bond between parent and child has represented care, continuity, and the hope of new life. But ancient Egyptian artists were not simply copying nature. They carefully selected animals that carried meaning in everyday life. Monkeys were not native to Egypt. They were imported as exotic animals and became associated with elite households. They also appeared as decorative elements on cosmetic equipment, showing that monkeys could belong to the world of luxury, beauty, and personal possessions. The pose of this small figure has an even older history. Images of mother monkeys holding their young had already appeared on earlier cosmetic containers from the Old Kingdom. One example shows how this image could be connected with valuable personal items used by wealthy individuals. So this tiny sculpture was not created in isolation. It belonged to a longer Egyptian tradition of combining animals, craftsmanship, and human emotions. Look closer and the most important clues are not only in the image itself, but also in the physical evidence left behind. The monkey sits upright, holding the baby close to her chest. The baby's head is now missing, but the protective gesture remains clear. The carving is extremely small, yet the details were carefully shaped, including the body, hands, feet, and animal features. Then comes one of the most important details. A small hole was drilled just below the shoulders. That hole tells us something about how the object may have functioned. A hole for suspension suggests that the figure could have been attached to something, rather than simply placed on a surface. And around this hole, as well as around the base, there are small chips and signs of wear. These marks changed how scholars understand the object. If it had been made only to accompany someone after death, we might expect a very different story. Instead, the evidence suggests that this little amethyst figure may have belonged to a living owner and may have been used during everyday life. However, we cannot know exactly who wore it, how often it was worn, or what personal meaning it had for its owner. Those details are lost to history. What we can say is that this was not just an image carved in stone. It was a carefully made object designed to be close to a person. The mother and child image may also have carried ideas connected with rebirth. In ancient Egyptian art, images of parents and infants are often interpreted as symbols of renewal and continuation. But this interpretation is a scholarly understanding, not a message directly written on the object itself. Perhaps the most fascinating part of this small sculpture is the contrast between its size and its meaning. It is smaller than many modern jewelry pieces, yet it connects several important parts of ancient Egyptian life. Rare materials, skilled craftsmanship, exotic animals, personal decoration, and ideas about protection and renewal. Thousands of years later, we can no longer know the name of the person who owned it. We do not know where they wore it, why they chose it, or what emotions they attached to it. But the object itself still preserves one human idea that has survived across time. A mother holding her child, a person carrying something meaningful, and a tiny piece of purple stone that once belonged to someone's life, not just their death.